You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
Live from the AfterBuzz TV studios in Hollywood, California, this is AfterBuzz TV for Survivor. We'll give you all the latest news and gossip for Survivor. If you'd like to buzz us, you can call us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues. It's AfterBuzz TV's Survivor!
Hello, hello. It looks like I am the survivor. You know, unlike the show, we were supposed to have a lot of people here. Mike Pesh, he will be joining us in the coming weeks. And hopefully Steve the Steamer, who you may know from our other AfterBuzz shows such as Real World and now Rivals Challenge. Hello? Hopefully he'll be calling in, but thank you, DJ Jesse. We're a very kind of makeshift crew tonight, as we are in prep for the Emmys tomorrow. But anyway, enough about that. So the season premiere episode of Survivor South Pacific, we get to meet the characters right off the bat. Jess, just let me know when Steve the Steamer's there. All right, thank you. And immediately we get our kind of first challenge between Ozzy and Coach. And to me, what I felt as I was watching this challenge, I felt like it was in slow motion. Even though they were supposed to be digging, they were supposed to be running, it just felt like, okay, I understand you're in sand, but at the same time, can you go a little bit faster? Or at the very least, I would have appreciated if CBS kind of just sped it up. I don't know. It just, right off the bat, that challenge just looked a little bit comical in some sense. But nonetheless, then it hit full comedy when they got to the block part of that challenge. And
all right, we have Steamer on the line now.
Steamer.
How's it going?
It's going good. I've never had the honor of hosting a show with you, so I'm very, very privileged and lucky to have you tonight.
Oh, it's such an honor.
Steve, so I was just recapping the first challenge between Ozzy and Coach, and I was just talking about the block part of the challenge, and it very much reminded me of Planet of the Apes. Have you seen the new one?
No, I have not.
Well, in that, that's the test they do for the apes, and the ape gets it right. I mean, it takes apparently 15 moves for a perfect score, and yep. I'd love to see the count for these guys of how many moves they made in order to get this right. I mean, what did you feel about this?
I don't know. To me, it reminded me of a challenge on Rivals this past season where they had to do something similar with those blocks. And it seemed like on there they did it a little quicker than the people here. But it just seemed like, I don't know what Coach's problem was. Like, I don't know how they couldn't figure that out, considering it seems like he's smarter than Ozzy, so you think he would have had an advantage going in, but it just seemed like a cluster on his side. And give credit to Ozzy. He was the first one to ask his team for help, and it ended up paying off for him.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this. You're way more versed in the history of Survivor than I am, and you are a font of knowledge when it comes to anything of that sort of nature. So who was your... Coach and Ozzy were the only two returning characters, correct?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So who? Give us. Do you mind giving us a little bit of a history on them, if you know it?
Yeah. Ozzy started out in I think it was Cook Islands, but what the angle of that challenge was, that was one separated by a race. So they had like the Asians, the Hispanics, the white, and then it ended up merging. And throughout the season, Ozzy was like a dominant physical player, and he rode that to the end where he ended up losing in the final tribal council. I think it was a close 5-4 vote, and he ended up losing. Then he came back for fans versus favorites, and he was dominating the game. He had a good alliance at hand. He found the immunity idol, but then they teamed up against him and voted him out as he had the immunity idol in his pocket. It was one of the, people say it's one of the most shocking vote outs in the history of the show. So, like, and I was sure that's been, like, sitting with him, like, just the fact that he had the immunity idol in his pocket and just didn't play it. So that's why he wants, like, another shot at it. But, I mean, this is his third shot. I mean, how many shots should you get? But regardless of that, here he is again. And Coach, like, his first season, he said he was going to play with, like, honor. He wanted to go against, like, the competitors. But then as soon as he had a chance, he voted out one of the biggest competitors. And he called himself like a dragon slayer because he did it. He was just really full of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he came back for Heroes versus Villains, he seemed more mellow. He seemed more even keel, and he ended up getting voted out. And so this time, I don't know what kind of angle he's going to play, if he's going to try to be honorable or go back to being more deceitful. So it'll be interesting to see how that progresses.
I see. Well, I mean, to me, after the challenge, obviously, Ozzy wins and all that. But, the first thing those guys do, Savai, if I'm pronouncing it right, they just go into the water, whereas coaches immediately, all right, let's build the shelter. And, everyone's down for that cause. But on Ozzy's team, Dawn is like, shouldn't we be building a shelter? And that causes a riff. And then she eventually calls Ozzy the Bob Marley of the group, pretty much, which I found hysterical.
It definitely was a good depiction of Ozzy. But I actually think he was sort of correct in what he wanted to do. It just seems like when they first started building shelter, it's always like tense, and they're trying to like team build as they're doing it. But like the way Ozzy did it, like they went out into the water and they had their conversation while they were relaxing. So it seemed more natural, and they formed. I think they could have formed like a better bond that way rather than just going and having all the stress of building a shelter as you're getting to know these people. So I thought that was a refreshing approach to it, as opposed to the traditional way.
All right, I could see that. Again, you have knowledge of all the seasons that I don't. To be honest with you, this is actually just my second season watching. I saw, I believe, like the second or third season ever. So it's been a while for me.
Yep.
I hope you forgive me, Steamer.
No problem. It's definitely changed a little bit since then, but I think it's actually gotten better. So we'll see where this season takes us.
That's good. And so speaking of past seasons, what is this Russell Hantz thing? I thought it was like some serial killer thing, and then I'm looking it up on the iPad, and it's like, okay, what happened?
He was like one of the most deceitful players in the game's history. Like he came on, I forget the name of the season. He came on, like the first thing they showed him do was like burning one of his tri-mate socks. It was just completely random. It was like a cartoony thing to do, and from there, like he wanted to create like an unease in his team, thinking he can take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up doing that, since he ended up keep finding immunity idols and eventually working his way to the end where he lost. And then he came back for Heroes versus Villains, and once again made it to the end and lost in the final tribal council. So he's probably is the most.
I see.
Biggest bad guy they've ever had on the show.
I see. That's quite interesting. And then, what intrigues me though is, obviously we're setting up the notion that the big reveal is going to come out that Brandon is the nephew of Russell, and obviously it's through his tattoos because he keeps wanting to hide them. And Christine and Edna, they're saying, or no, it's actually Sophie, the girl who speaks Russian. She's like, I don't trust Brandon. But like, my question is, why would you ever get a tattoo of your uncle? A, on your back, that's huge, and B, on your whatever, bicep or whatever, sidearm.
I don't know if it's for his uncle. I think it's just like a family pride type of thing. It's like the last name Hantz, like little Hantz. I don't know. I don't think I meant like little Russell. I don't know if that's related to maybe his father or his grandfather or something along those lines. But to get 2 tattoos on you with your family name is probably a little excessive.
Well,
I don't know how he thinks he's going to keep hiding it. Like, what's the excuse for his shirt to be up like that? I mean, I don't know if there's any excuse that could possibly cover that up.
I know, it's so weird. But, like, even, you know, I've seen a lot of people usually, like, especially, like, if they have European heritage, they'll usually put the family crest,
Yep.
you know, and that's something that they're proud of. So, you know, if Brandon could go back in time, I would recommend, you know what, whatever the family crest for the Hantz family is, just go with that. People will be much less apt to figure it out.
Yeah. And it probably would look nicer too. I mean, rather than just words.
Yeah.
I mean, some like actually figure on there would probably be.
Yeah, and that's what's so interesting. You know what I mean? Like, you know, obviously it's a big sports thing to have your name on the back of your shirt. You know, whether it's on a jersey or just on an actual shirt. Do that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just get a shirt with your last name on it, and you're fine.
Yeah.
But hey,
it doesn't really make sense. But what do I know?
I know, right? Jesse, what are your thoughts on getting a tattoo on the back of your, on your back, actually?
Yeah, I don't get it at all. Does not make sense to me. Who's looking at that?
Yeah, I know. I mean, especially if you want people to see it,
for
just
females,
put it on your shirt.
I agree for females.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Hey, they want their man to look at it. Well,
but quick. So while we're kind of on the subject, we know that's going to be a big thing coming up. What episode do we expect that to blow up? You guys are the reality gurus.
That can't carry on too long. I mean, how many ways could he have his shirt on his back like that? There's no possible reason for him to do that. So I would guess no later than episode 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
If he goes that far, it's too long.
Yeah, I'd say
these
3
people
or 4.
are idiots if that's the case.
Do you think he's literally going to try to come up with some of the stupidest excuses ever? Like, hey, I'm allergic to water, but only on my upper back.
That's what he says. He'll come up with some excuses. I'm like, I think I'm a smart guy and I can come up with a reason, but I had literally no reason for him to do that. So I'm anxious to see where he goes with this. Because, hey, maybe he's smarter than I am.
Hey, who knows? I don't know, but I highly doubt it.
Likewise.
So before we get to the official first challenge, the team challenge, let's what are your thoughts on kind of the group dynamic? I mean, for me, not a big talking point. It was Cochran and kind of his learning and interaction with Sam Ham. I can't even pronounce your name. I feel exactly like Cochran, who's like, no disrespect, but I just don't know your name.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really matter at this point, but yeah, like Sam Ham or something. I don't know what to make of Cochran. Like, going into the season, and I try to avoid all spoilers, but like, it seems like Jeff Probst was hyping this guy up like as some great player, so it leads me to believe he'll be around a while.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I saw like a talking head where he's like, I'm going to change the game of Survivor. And I mean, the show's been on for like 22 seasons now. I don't know what he could possibly do for it, but this first episode seems to set up like he'll be around a while. So I don't really like him, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is there's parts of him that I want to like, and then there's parts of him that I don't, that are just like, okay, dude, you're the exact stereotype, and you're playing into that, and this is why people, you know, hate that stereotype of the Harvard law student.
Yep. Because
that's what you are. But even go ahead.
And a few years back, on Coach's first season, they had another guy who, I don't know what his actual job was, but he was like the bookish kind of guy who's just like a fish out of water there. And he did pretty well for himself. So the precedent is there where that type can go far. But this guy seems like he's that guy and just amped up a little more. So I'll be curious to see what he possibly can do, because the only thing he has going for him at this point is like a good social game, because he seems like a DC enough guy, but in terms of physical challenges, he's pretty damn inept.
One sec, sorry guys. Jess, I believe our special guest for the next show has arrived, so if you don't mind getting her. Sorry about that, guys. For those of you interested, we will be doing CW's Hater right after this. Sorry about that, Steamer. But
no problem.
All right, so there you go. Quick plug for CW's Hater.
Get those episodes in now.
Yes, indeed. Let's see. What else? What was your kind of, again, before we move on to the challenge, you know, that was kind of my big thing of the group dynamics. What was your kind of interest or like a red flag or anything?
The one person who I found intriguing that we haven't mentioned yet is Papa Bear, like the gay former police detective or whatever he was.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not like I don't like the whole Papa Bear like playing up that stereotype. It seems I don't know. It just seemed a little off. But in terms of like what I gathered from him initially was he seems like an honest guy that I would like to see make it far because those type of players, like the older, more heavy set guys, don't really seem to do overly well. So I'll be curious to see how he ends up.
Well, have they ever had? I mean, he's a detective from New York, so I imagine he must. And this is going off to a stereotype, but it's those any NYPD cop is kind of more of a macho guy. You know what I mean? And so, have they ever had that sort of like, whether it be a firefighter, someone from the military, anything of that nature versus like, oh, here's a teacher?
Yeah, they've had some police officers on there, firefighters. One of the best competitors they ever had was Tom. He was like a firefighter from, I believe, Long Island, like typical like macho type of guy, and he ended up winning the show and did a very amazing job at doing it. But he was more physical and like a little younger than Papa Bear, so I'm curious to see where his age will lead him because he's already hinting at and realized the fact he could be one of the first ones to go. So he's trying to build a nice foundation going in. Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, in speaking about the challenge, it's I didn't as I watched it, I didn't really see him sort of lagging behind anyone. Did you?
No, it didn't. So, like the fact that he's older is offset a little bit by the fact that he was a policeman. So, I'm assuming he stayed fairly active, regardless of the fact he's a little overweight. So, be interested to see how that can hold up. But in comparison, I mean, he was just going up against like someone like Cochran, so obviously he's gonna look faster by comparison to that.
Yeah, I mean, my note for the whole of the challenge, pretty much up until the coconut tossing challenge, was Upalo was just destroying the other team.
Yeah.
It was almost like, oh my God, guys, like the only one who was actually like, in some sense, able to do the challenge was Ozzy, and the rest of them were just like, okay, we're here, we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, and that's the way it's probably going to be because Ozzy is like one of the best competitors he's ever had, and from the looks of the tribe, there's only like a few other people who look athletic. So, be curious to see where that goes.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, and I'm surprised it was even that close towards the end because again, Upalo got there faster. I mean, the one thing that literally for me saved it for Ozzy's Team Savai was the fact of the machete. It took the other guy a lot longer to find his machete. Ozzy found it faster, and then he caught up to him as they were hacksawing the ropes.
Yep.
And then they were pretty much tied at that point. But up until that point, it was almost a no competition.
Yeah, they definitely were ahead by a decent amount.
Yeah. So, and then obviously the game changer was the tossing of the coconuts. And in your opinion, who would you pick as they picked 3 people for each team?
Yep.
So who would you pick for Ozzy's team to do it, and then for Coach's team?
I honestly couldn't tell you because I don't know what their strong points were. So, like, the fact of how they did it, like just having people volunteer, was probably the manner in which to do it. And then when Samhan, or whatever her name is, basically said, I can do this, at that point, I mean, she looks like she's fit and athletic. You have to take her word for it and say, okay, you want to step up? Here you go.
Yeah.
And it looks like the other team, I know that Michaela, she's pretty athletic, so it was good that she did it since she ended up making a lot of shots. So it seems like they picked the right players as opposed to Ozzy team who let Samhan weasel her way into it.
Well, I mean, here's kind of the thing. I used to play soccer, and whenever there'd be like penalty kicks, right? 5 5 people from each team have to go up and take a shot at the goalie, and a lot of those times, it would be okay. Who wants to do it? Obviously, who's kind of good already because you know your team, but at the same time, you'd never let someone go up if they're like, no, I don't want to do this.
No,
but
you don't want that.
But at the same time, it was interesting because as soon as Senhan said, like, I can do this, I can make shots, something in my gut was like, oh, my God, this is just a recipe for disaster. I'm sorry. This is never going to work out, and it's going to blow up in your face.
Yeah, the fact that they showed that, I mean, it just obviously foreshadowed what you suspected could happen, and obviously it lived up to that.
Yeah. So, and I'd have to really watch it again, but how in the world did they end up losing by basically 1 or 2 coconuts?
I think just Ozzy just kept making every shot he took, and the fact that they ended up starting at the same point, and I don't know how many coaches' team, like how many actual shots they put up, I think because he kept having to go back, and Ozzy's quicker than some of them, so he got more shots and made more, so I don't know. But yeah, it is pretty amazing that they were only 1 coconut down, considering that they had 1 less player.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So, needless to say, Upalu wins and Savai loses. So, what did they win? They won the Flint and obviously immunity, correct?
Yeah.
And, however, so what was, explain to me exactly, what was the thing where they had to find something in order to gain full immunity? I got lost at that point a little bit.
A few years back, they started a hidden immunity idol. Basically, somewhere around camp or in the general area is an immunity idol that no one else really would have to know about. You could find it, stash it, and then at tribal council you can play it and basically be immune. Mm-hmm. So anyone who voted against you, like those votes wouldn't count, and the next highest person would be voted out. And by having that, like some of the biggest shifts in the game have taken place because of it.
I see.
And it got to the point where everyone knew it was there, so they would start looking for it without any clues. And Russell Hantz was able to find it without even having a clue, because he could just basically look at like sort of like obvious areas that he knew it would be in, since the clue would have to describe it. So he would keep looking and find them, play them, and get further in the game. So now there's to the point where instead of hiding the actual immunity idol somewhere near a camp, there's hiding clues to make it a little harder for people to find them.
I see. All right. Who was the girl from Upalu's team that basically, right? I mean, it was there, right? That's what they alluded to. The fact that
she was a mortician. I don't know her name.
Mm-hmm.
They showed her, and
but like how ironic. As she said, I could be looking right at it and I wouldn't know what it is.
Yeah.
And she overplayed that, and she spent so much time searching for it. I mean, I forget what the number of, what the time sense was, but okay, you're searching, and it's right there in front of you, literally.
Yeah.
What is going through your mind? I mean,
and especially since like inside trees is like one of the places they use the most. It's always like the random tree that has a hole in it, and inside there is the clue, or under the root or something along those lines. So the fact that she was looking for it and just didn't even pay attention to what she was looking at just shows that she doesn't know what the hell she's doing.
And here's the thing that really frustrated me was the fact that, okay, it was a hole in a tree, and there was, it was in there. It's not like it was hidden underneath something, you know what I mean? I mean, The whole point is that it's already hidden, so that way when you're looking for it, you can kind of at least spot it a little bit. It's not necessarily a needle in a haystack situation.
No,
but
it's basically hiding inside the tree. It's not like behind like 8 more branches. It's sort of just there. It might blend in a little bit with it, but if you're looking, you would be able to spot it.
Exactly. All right. Well, do you want to move on to Elimination?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
Actually, before we get into that, let's talk about right after the challenge when Jeff was asking Samhan about if she felt bad, and she's like, I felt kind of bad, or whatever she said, and the medical marijuana guy is like rolling his eyes at her. And I don't blame him, since, I mean, she's the one responsible for the team losing, regardless of the fact it's a team effort. She's the one who volunteered. She's the one who ran out of gas. couldn't make a shot. So she's the reason they lost. And for her to just say she's kind of mad or whatever she said, it just would rub you the wrong way if you're a competitor.
I get that. And here's my kind of frustration with the whole thing of, okay, so did she lose that challenge for them? She did. There's no denying that. But you got to think of it long term. I still see her being more of a competitor versus Cochran. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I would have, at the end of the day, okay, we lost the challenge. There's no going back on that. But who in the real big picture is our worst competitor? Now, there might be someone worse. I don't know. But it just seemed like from watching the episode tonight, it was Cochran. And you know what? I would have just said, like, hey, guys, we got to think big picture here.
Yeah.
And
that is a solid point.
So I don't know. I don't know if they shot themselves in the foot by eliminating her, because we'll get more into this in the predictions. But it just seems like they're going to focus on Cochran next episode and him really just basically struggling with the whole thing.
Yeah.
So and it was her that actually taught him to open the coconut, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like at the end of the day, okay, so she lost one challenge, but she seems to have skills within the camp. And I know Cochran went back at her, is that all she does is like watch over the toothpaste or whatever she was talking about.
Yeah.
But at least she knows enough, okay, how do we make toothpaste? How do we open a coconut, et cetera, et cetera. Versus Dawn, the school teacher, as much as she's criticizing, oh, okay, we need to build a shelter, et cetera, I don't see her as knowing that skill. And I certainly, there's no books laying around for Cochran to be reading. So where's he going to get that information?
That's a good point.
So I don't know. I think they might have made as much as I know she lost that challenge, they might have made a mistake. Are you rethinking your position, or are you still sticking to that she should have gone?
I mean, Ozzy brought up a good point, and I can see where Jim's coming from, and when Ozzy brings it up, because considering he's been known to get close to like the female competitors, so he might be thinking he's making a alliance. But yeah, in terms of strictly looking at it, it is a great point. You think they should have gotten rid of Cochran, since the only thing he could possibly contribute in is like a puzzle. But most times when they have the puzzle, it's after like a longish challenge where you got to be physical to get it. Because they're not just going to have him do a puzzle. There's other stuff involved in it. So, and I don't think he can hold up, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, no offense to those kind of guys, but at the end, like if you have to do something physically grueling, the fact that you're physically tired, it wears on you mentally as well, and so then you're not making the right decisions in those moments. And I find, smart, like I'm just gonna say Cochran, because I won't make a biased or stereotype, whatever. I see him if he's mentally tired, if he's frazzled, and all that. If things aren't exactly how he wants them, then he won't be able to focus in the correct way. Whereas, okay, someone who's, let's say, a little less intelligent than Cochran, well, you know what? At least they'll be focused on the task. They won't be frazzled, and so they'll just keep their cool and be like, okay, I got to do this, and just somehow figure it out. Competitors, no matter what, they pull something, basically, quote, out of their ass at the end of the day. That's just what, like look at any basketball game. At the end of it, half a second left, then you got to make a 3-point shot, half court. Boom. There it is. You know what I mean? How did he make that? Well, no one knows. He just did. So.
He has an ability.
Exactly. But any last thoughts before we go to commercial and then just hit it with predictions?
You want to discuss the tribal council at all? Like anything said there? I mean,
sure. Go right ahead. I mean,
it just seemed like it came down to like Cochran explaining him, and obviously they edited it to a point where it made you think like Cochran is going, and obviously the vote said no one else voted for him to lead besides Simon. So I don't know what else was said in terms of the tribal council, but it just seemed like Ozzy was giving points why they should get rid of him, and they end up keeping him. So I would be curious to see what else was said But in terms of that, like I noticed, like in the tribal council, I don't know how many times they showed the guy in the yellow shirt whose name I don't even know since he didn't really say much, and they showed him about 15 times just randomly smirking. It was very peculiar why they kept showing that guy. And
Are you talking about the medical dispensary guy? Which guy?
No, it wasn't Jim. It was some other guy in the team. He was like a younger, like just a pretty boy type, wearing a yellow shirt.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. I don't know his name, though.
Yeah, it's just very bizarre. And I don't know. And then he ended up saying something like to Cochran, but I don't know why they kept showing him, considering he didn't really have much screen time. It's just one of those bizarre things. And then obviously they get to the point where it's 8-1, get rid of Samhan, and she's sent off to Redemption Island.
That's right. And she's gone, baby. She's gone.
Hopefully.
But, all right. Anything else?
Nope, we can.
All right, Jesse. Let's head to the commercial, baby.
Is about.
Janice is a drama queen.
This is the divide that is going to carry the series.
Give us a call. 424-256-1729. 424-256-1729.
It's television, and they want it to be as dramatic as possible.
I mean, it's Shakespearean.
You never know what goes on behind closed doors.
Find out why AfterBuzz TV is the #1 source for after-show content.
Now, in the eyes of Jimmy, Nucky is a villain.
424-256-1729. 424-256-1729.
I mean, who would you guys rather hear that from? Your husband or your best friend?
The wig will come out. That wig.
When the TV show is over, get your AfterBuzz on.
Very nice, Jesse. That's right, Destiny's Child Survivor, baby. Going back, huh? When was this made, Jesse?
Oh, this is like 2001, I want to say.
That's right about when Survivor started, too, right?
Survivor
good marketing.
Summer of 2000.
Summer of 2000. All right, so Destiny's Child, you're telling me ripped off the show?
I think so. Yeah, it's definitely right around Survivor's peak where this song came out. So.
Hey, that's pop marketing.
There you go.
Yep.
All right. You want Jesse? There we go. Predictions.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, Steamer. I'll let you kick it off.
It seemed like the preview for the next show shows Cochran having more problems. Like, I don't know if he can just go over ribbons or whatever the hell they're doing. So it seems like they're leading more into the fact he's physically inept. But as I said before, I think he'll go a little further since the hype they're giving him. So I don't know who would go next if they win or what have you. In terms of like the other tribe, it seemed to me like they were having with Russell Hantz's nephew there, Brandon,
yeah.
Yeah, Brandon. Yeah, he was seen to be having some sort of like tension towards Michaela, like calling her Lila or whatever. So it seems like there'll be something either coming up soon regarding those two. They're definitely teasing towards that, so I'm curious where that goes. And it seems like she could be a contender to win the show.
Yeah, and I love, we didn't talk about this, but the fact that she was up on the quote roof and building, their shelter, and all Brandon's thinking about is, wow, I'm a religious guy. I'm thinking about God, and I don't like her because. I don't even know why. Because what? She has a shirt on? What are you looking at?
I don't know if he thinks she's flaunting her body or what have you. I don't know if he said he was married. I don't know if I caught that wrong or what have you. But, yeah, it seemed like I don't know if he's just afraid that he'll be tempted by her. That's what it seemed to me.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, I could understand, okay, if she's, like, wearing a bikini, running around on the beach or whatever. But, no, she's genuinely just trying to build a shelter. She's minding her own business at the end of the day, and you're getting mad at her.
But in his defense, I don't know. They didn't really say it there, but I think she was in the lingerie football league. I know because she's from like the next town over from my hometown, and someone on my Facebook friends list knows her, so he's been talking about her.
So we got to get him on, Steve. We got to get an interview.
this might be a little too late for him, but I'll see what he says as the season goes on. 'Cause I'm sure he'll have some idea. Because as soon as the cast was announced, he was like openly cheering for her.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like she's pretty athletic and just, by all accounts, a nice girl. So
well, she was the one who made a lot of baskets in the challenge. So
yeah.
that was.
Yeah, I think she played basketball in high school. So
yeah,
and obviously she showed it here by being able to make the baskets with the coconuts.
That's right. Well, from the previews for me, I just basically saw Cochran messing up what seemed to be like Ring Around the Rosie or something. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, dude, do you have any coordination whatsoever?
The answer to that appears to be no.
I know, it's just, oh my God. But then they also kind of teased it to the fact of like he's new Cochran, and his quote is, I'm no longer listening to my parents. What does that even mean? Like, what? Now you're going to start drinking, smoking, and I don't get it.
He's going to be a badass now.
Oh, my God.
It seems like when he cut the coconut, like he said something to, I don't know the girl's name. He says, like, this is something my mother wouldn't let me do or something. I don't know what his mother wouldn't let him do, like cut a coconut, use a machete. I don't know what his mother possibly saw against that, like him trying to be like a provider type. But I'd be curious to see where he goes with this new persona.
Yeah, I'm interested. I would love to see just him all of a sudden bulk up and just win the Survivor and just become a total new man. That would be so interesting.
Unfortunately, it's not like Big Brother, so they don't have like a weightlifting set for him. And basically, since you're not going to be eating much, he'll probably just get him being scrawnier and scrawnier to the point where he might actually like just disappear on the show. Yeah.
So I'm guessing my prediction for him, he'll probably be eliminated episode 8 or 7.
Yeah, that seems to be the case because I think you'd want to eliminate him like early into Redemption Island. So obviously he's not going to win the Redemption Island contest, and then he'll be gone right away. You want him out.
Yeah.
The earlier they do that, the better, since he's not going to help you win any challenges.
No, he's not. And I guess last prediction, who do you think will win the next challenge?
The next challenge, I'm going to have to say Coach's side again, just based on what we saw of Cochran. And obviously that could have been like a reward challenge that they were showing, but unless it's something really geared towards Ozzy and where Ozzy can carry them to victory, I just don't see Cochran helping out, and he's pretty damn inept.
All right, well, there you have it. My prediction is the same thing. Coach's team will win. Well, thank you for tuning in for AfterBuzz TV's first Survivor After Show. We'll be back same time next week. And for those of you who are listening from the Boston area, be sure to check out Serial Buddies, a film made by our own Maria Menounos and Kevin Undergaro. It is playing in Boston. It's a preview, and it's September 20th at 8:45 p.m. Go on bostonfilmfestival.org to check out what it's all about and get tickets. Jesse, anything else? Oh, Emmys. We have Emmys tomorrow.
Streaming live 12 to 6 tomorrow, September 15th, and Friday, September 16th, from 12 to 6 Pacific Standard Time. So make sure you check us out. Lots and lots of celebrities, exclusives, and a lot of AfterBuzz family from all over the place coming together.
That's right. We got people from New York. We got people from Boston, Chicago, all over the place. All right. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jesse. It's been a great show.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.